Okay, I hope this works. Um, I couldn't get your replay to load, so um, I think because maybe did you do your lap in the time trial version rather than on the daily race time trial? And if that's why I can't find it. So like here, for example, I've got mine. I didn't save my fastest lap, so I just went and did a quick lap just then, which was pretty close to your time. Um, and then I saved your race or your lap, but it doesn't come up. So I found somebody else's, but I think it's because this is done within the daily race time trial mode, and then you've got other people. So yeah, all these guys as well from the global rankings. So I'm not too sure if it's that one, but I know that it does work if you go to if I do this on if I go to the track in the world circuits and then do the telemetry, it does work. But I didn't save my fastest lap, which was a bit stupid of me. Anyway, so uh, I've done a lap which is pretty close to yours. So if you do this as well, you'll be able, like, hopefully this will just be able to show you a little bit about what you need. So this is probably the two things that you'd want to use. The speed and gap is fairly pointless, I find at least. You can see up here what your speed is, your speed. So I'm in blue, and then the replay that you're going against is in yellow. So that just gives you an idea of how much slower you are, really, with your gap behind. The overlay for the um, oops, for the map, it always keeps the car side by side, so you can just see in comparison to who's doing what, where you're braking and stuff. But it keeps and then it just shows the time up here where the difference is. So for this one already, you can see that I think it's Calster or no Levicius that I've got as the replay. So he actually breaks a little bit earlier than I do. I did read or did hear in the Kidney lap guide that he said the 296 benefits from braking a little bit earlier. So you come through here, you're both on the brakes, same amount, but he lets off a lot earlier, you can see, and then he coasts through, whereas I'm still on the brake as he's coasting. So he's already ahead if you look at the time difference, not too much. And as soon as he comes round, he's probably, we'll check this in a minute on the next frame, but you can see that he's starting to build a gap already. So that means he's probably trail braking, like more than I am, or he's off the brakes more than I am. And then he's off the brakes completely, coasting around. I'm off the brakes, coasting around really, but he's already on the power coming into the corner. And then that's when I get on the power. So by that point, he's nearly a tenth up. So then he's fully on the power, and then he's already got, better exit. He runs a lot wider than I do, using more track. Um, then we come back together again. I let off a little bit. I had seen that was a good. I think that was the best line in the BMW. The Super is a little bit different. So he brakes quite a bit earlier. I coast in and then brake, but look, he's off the brakes earlier again, and then coasts into the final corner or the right hander. It's clearly quicker because of the time difference coming in. He's at 3:23 there, and then coming out of that is 3:57. So he's a couple of hundredths quicker, but it's still, those are the bits that after every corner and after every lap, those all add up. So, but coming out, excuse me, I've only just got up. Uh, Coming out, we're not too far off. He does keep a slightly tighter line. I have found that going through, if I take it too tight on that curb on the left, I can make me spin out a bit, but seems to have got a bit more confidence on it. So he comes in, we cross over, he cuts a lot more of that corner as well, keeping a tighter line. We're fairly similar through this bit, and then you can see our breaking points really not far off different. I doubt we'll close any gap. Keeps pretty much the same. He's probably trail braking more there. So when I say when he's trail braking more, I mean like he's letting off the brake more. So it's effectively not braking as much. And he rolls a little bit through the exit as well, or into the next corner. The physics of this game really benefit coasting through corners. Like, it's the key to it is to brake harder, trail brake aggressively, and then coast a lot through corners. You'll get a lot of time doing that. Then we come through. I'm on the power. It doesn't seem to close anything up to him. So Levicius, he runs a lot wider. That's that really dodgy curb there. If you go slightly too far wide, you'll get a penalty. But he's pushing the track limits to the absolute limit. Then we're coming across. He takes a much tighter line again, further left. Braking wise, but almost identical. I think that one, it looks like he just coasts a tiny bit, but we'll see the overlay in a minute on the next one. So the other slide you use is this one here, so then you can get comparisons to all of your inputs. So you come in on the brakes, he lets off a little bit earlier than I do, and then coasts. So he will trail brake aggressively, probably. So 100% brakes, then trail brake immediately, and then let off and coast. Whereas I'm probably on the brakes more. And then he coasts a lot more. I coast only just for like a tiny little bit just there. Then I'm on the power, and you can see it doesn't close the gap. Then again, he brakes just a car length after I do, and then he stops braking by that point. I'm braking till there, and he coasts for that whole time, and then we're pretty much both on the throttle coming out of that. Pretty similar line through there, which is good. Then this bit's all the same. And then we'll come into the next heavy braking zone before the left-handed chicane. So I brake much earlier than he does, and we let off both at the same point. I could tell from this corner when I did the lap that I braked too much, so I was too slow on entry to this one, which is why my coasting bit here is so short and his is so much longer, because he'll have a higher speed. Well, you can see the speed difference. He's doing nearly 10 miles an hour faster than me. So that's a good, actually. That's good thing to compare. So each time you're looking at where someone comes into the corner, you can see your entry speed difference, and even through the corner as well. So that shows you just how much more pace you can have going through there. Then we'll come through. We're fairly similar on our line, actually, which is nice to see. He takes it slightly tighter through this one, so that line here is better for time trialing, because you'll save just a fraction of a second, whereas my line is the more traditional line, which sets you up better for your exit out of here. So that's that lap. Then if we go to telemetry, so we've got throttle. You don't want steering angle, because that's just a load of rubbish. And then we'll change to gear. And then if you press, I think it's R1. No, it's so if you just use your right toggle stick to close or spread it open. There we go. So you've got your speed in your gap, your throttle, your brake, and your gear. That one you can't change. So coming in, we can see our coming into the first thing. So he actually lets off the accelerator a little bit just before he coming in to the first right-hander, and you can see the difference in braking. So he brakes a bit earlier than I do, but not as much. So I'm braking too much into this one. You can see I even could tell that my throttle input was a bit weird. So he downshifts a bit earlier into the gear than I do. I think that might just be down to I might have not the gear limiter thing might have cut in where I was trying to spam it down and it didn't work. So I don't know why I went a little bit on the throttle there, but yeah, braked a little bit harder, trail brake aggressively, so dropping off pretty quick. Coming through here, I'm still on the brake a lot more than he is, which is slowing me down, and he gets on the throttle way earlier. So that's the first one. So you can see, if you're thinking about it picturing the track in your head as you're going round, you know that's the first corner, so you can think, right, well, if I brake less and a little bit earlier, then I can slow down sufficiently to have control. I'll have grip on the outside tires because I'll have already turned in, and then you've got the car balanced and loaded up, and then you can get on the throttle earlier. There's also a lot to do about balance with the car loading it up and things like that. So then we come along here just before the sort of uphill chicane. He coasts a little bit in, as we saw on the overlay, and then he brakes, or he's not braking, he's just feathering the throttle a little bit, and then changes down a gear before he gets onto the brakes, because he's already slowing down. So you can see the speed difference. He's actually going slower into that corner already. Brakes a bit earlier and for longer actually, probably because he's coasted in more, and then but aggressively trail brakes off, so he drops right the way down. So therefore he's not slowed down. So you can see already. So the difference between entry speed here, I'm actually going quicker than him into the corner. So you'd think, well, I'm gonna close the gap. So 3.31, sorry, a 0.331 gap going in. It closes down a tiny bit by 100th, if that, and then just as we're coming out, it will start to grow up again. And there it goes. So by the time I've come off the brakes, we're back up nearly to where we were. He gets on the throttle earlier, and then he's coming out the corner quicker. And you can see the difference in braking, where he downshifts a bit earlier as well. Downshifting earlier will also help balance the car more, so that it's more stable through the corners. So bit of work there for me to work on. These are just gear changes. Why I came off the corner, off the throttle. So this is the one where after the chicane, you go around the left-hander with the funky curb, and then there's a right-hander going downhill. Sometimes if I don't get my line right, I will let off just to allow the car to rotate a bit. So that's where I let off. So he makes a ton of time on that one. Then we come into the left-hander going uphill, like the dodgy, weird bit. So coming through here, he does a little blip on the throttle as well as he downs. Oh, that's a downshift. Sorry, that's why there's a blip. So it's not that he's on the throttle. That's just the revs of the engine matching the downshifts. So braking wise, we're not too dissimilar. We brake in almost the same spot, but you can see again he trail brakes off a lot more. I'm holding the brake a lot longer, and then it drops off very aggressively. But I should probably trail more with it, and as a result of that, he's able to get on the throttle a lot earlier. Then we'll come through, and you can see where the difference in gearing between the two cars. So I do an upshift just before the right-hander at the bottom of the track. It's like the two right-handers, a bit of a square corner, and then you can turn it into sort of a hairpin. You can see the difference. So he's downshifted earlier. It might be a case that I can hold that gear longer in the Supra, but we brake pretty much the same. I brake a touch higher, so I'm getting to 100%. He's only getting to 94%, and then it's coming off. But he trail brakes aggressively down to sort of around the 50% mark, and then comes off. Whereas I'm still way up at the 80s and 90s and come right the way down. I do, because I'm going slower, I do manage to get on the throttle earlier than he does, but that's kind of a moot point because I'm still going slower overall. Then at the next one, that's a weird braking input. Not too sure what happened there, but very similar. Again, I'm holding the brake way too much compared to him. Throttle wise, then on the exit, he gets a much better exit, gets on the throttle because he's more stable. He hasn't got the car unweighted from the brakes like I have. and then he's running through a much faster exit because he's got on the throttle earlier. So coming out, got the gearing on the Ferrari's pretty good. So he gets a longer gear through onto the long straight, and then you can see, oh, actually the Supra is actually pretty quick along here. It does manage to go a little bit faster, so that's something that's nice. So coming into the last corner, the Ferrari does eventually catch up with your thing. So here we go. We're almost the same overlay here coming into the last kind of big chicane. He does brake a little bit later. As you can see, he holds the brake at 100% for a lot longer than I can. I'm relatively close, and then he trail brakes off more aggressively than I do. It's still pretty aggressive, that big drop, but he manages to do it just a little bit better, which is what you'd expect. He's a top tier driver. And then our throttle applications, this corner, I'm really crap at. So this is now the right hander coming up the hill before the pit lane. I'm crap at this corner. I really don't know how, like, even you did it way better than I did. You stay in second and you boot it up the hill, and every time I do that, I get oversteer and I spin out. So I've upshifted way earlier into third, and then tried to get on the throttle a bit more cautiously, just to try and keep the car stable and stop it from spinning out. And then that's it. And then you've basically flat out all the way to the end. So yeah, I hope what's this other view? This is like absolutely pointless. I don't know why anyone would even need that. I hope that helps with a little bit of it. If you want to do it with Le Mans as well, if you've got any practice you want to do with Le Mans, I did a lap yesterday, or did a few laps last night. I think I got down to just over 4 minutes, like 4 minutes 0.03 or something like that. So I'm still working on it to get below 4 minutes. But if I've got that, I'll upload it, and then you can use that again to compare your telemetry. So I'm going to save this and see if that works.